Although UX is not a new concept and has existed for a long time, it took its time to evolve into what it is now. In the initial stages, it primarily started out as a technique for arranging and organizing objects. The tools and jobs people had at the time were very basic, and they didn't have the luxury of technology to implement grand schemes. With advancement in production capabilities, people started designing systems of functionality that helped in making workplaces more suitable for the employees so that the productivity can increase. Later in the technological era, the concept reached its essence and was used to optimize the experience of the end users of products and services, that is, the general public. In the digital realm too, the focus was primarily on interface alone and to improve it to the taste of users. This changed when cognitive psychologist and designer Donald Norman coined the term user experience. He changed his job title from user interface architect to user experience architect to emphasize that the focus should not be limited to designing the interface alone. Norman was studying the human mind until 1988 when he wrote his famous book, The Design of Everyday Things. He states that the book was written to express his contempt over how simple things that we use every day distract us and confuse us because they are not optimized enough. He says in his book that he, like many of us, has issues with figuring out how to open a door. Not surprising at all. There are too many kinds of doors. Doors that you pull, doors that you push, doors that you slide, doors that you lift, and a lot more. After he wrote the book, he says he got into product development and he entered the computer making industry. And over the time, he infamously changed his job title to make space for the term user experience. The evolution of UX design through the course of history is essential to understand the path it is likely to take in the future. So let's take a look into how it all started. The Chinese had a system called Feng Shui, which is basically a spatial arrangement technique where they arranged things to optimally utilize the energy of the natural elements. This was in practice as early as 4000 BC. The concept gave importance to order and organization and hence is considered as the earliest form of UX design. The Greeks too had a system of their own called ergonomics, which dates back to 500 BC. This was more evolved than Feng Shui as it focused on more than just the flow of natural elements when it came to arranging things. It involved studying usability and human interaction with relation to objects, and it covered more than just the arrangement of objects and extended further. Ergonomics is essentially a guide for best practices at a workplace to ensure a smooth flow of productivity. The term became popular in the recent centuries through the book An Outline of Ergonomics or the Science of Work by Polish scholar Wojciech Jastrowski in 1857. An example for the applications of ergonomics would be the design for optimal arrangement of surgical tools for a surgeon, in which the surgeon is not intruded by the positioning of the tools and also finds it convenient to access them whenever he needs them. This was suggested by writer and historian Herodotus. The industrial age took things a little further and started implementing entire systems to improve workplace efficiency. The efforts of Frederick Winslow Taylor in the early 1900s brought significant improvements in workplace management. He was a strategic manager at a factory and he wrote a book named The Principles of Management in 1911. In his book, he shares experiments that he conducted to ascertain the optimal productivity of laborers and how he used that data to distribute work. He talks about how he focused on solving employee problems because he believed that the employee satisfaction hugely impacts the growth of the organization. Automakers like Toyota and Ford applied similar principles and revolutionized the ways their factories function. Ford wasn't the first to do it, but the company made conveyor belts popular in that era. Ford apparently took inspiration from the early designs of similar machines by the artist-inventor Leonardo da Vinci. The use of conveyor belts changed the way factories assembled parts and did packaging. The reason why UX is often associated with technology and the digital world is because the concept was pampered by the tech giants in their early stages. Companies like IBM, Apple, and Xerox had high esteem for UX design, and they practically normalized the importance given to the concept. Henry Dreyfus, who worked with the human factors wing of IBM, wrote a book titled Designing for People in 1955. His wing worked to improve usability of the company's products. He believed that, as a designer, he fails when the end user senses a friction within the product. His thought was that the success of a design lies not just in the product delivering its purpose, but also in the user feeling comfortable using it. The Xerox company had a popular research wing, PARC, Palo Alto Research Center, that worked on enabling users with technology that was easier to use. The company developed, in collaboration with Apple, the graphical user interface and the mouse, among other things. The company pretty much created the foundation for modern computing. The focus was to optimize the technological interface to their best ability. And then came along Donald Norman, who took the term user interface and expanded it into user experience and made it as a matter of discussion. Walt Disney and his enthusiasm for delighting his customers were probably the first traces of businesses focusing on customer satisfaction quite seriously. He went beyond his way to deliver near-perfect experiences to those who came to Disney World and paid attention to the tiniest of details. He was one of the earliest minds to go beyond delivering the purpose with his products and services by focusing more on customer satisfaction. Disney believed that any technology has to constantly evolve and any service has to be regularly improvised. He didn't want his customers to feel they have seen all that Disney can offer them. He urged his team to collect data on consumer behavior and made lists of problems or distractions they face. He came up with solutions that rectified this behavior that reduces business for him. He wanted to present everything as clearly as possible in simple verbal and visual cues. He did not want his customers to feel exhausted by the intellectual effort in consuming his services. Disney passionately advocated the importance of fun and relaxation. He hated approaching things with a rigid and financial perspective. His vision for his Disney World and everything his brand did was to emotionally satisfy the people who pay for his services. That pretty much sums up the essence of what UX is. It won't be an exaggeration to call Disney the first ever UX designer. The term UX design, which has become increasingly popular in the present era, often gets restricted to the digital realm. It's a common perception that UX design is only about designing applications, software, and websites. This may be because most of the non-digital industries have been having UX designers or something close to that in some other titles and positions, possibly with additional responsibilities. For example, industrial design is a job profile that comes close to UX design. Architecture shares a lot of similarities with UX design. In their own industries with their own distinct features, these can be compared to UX design. And hence the term UX design is presently predominantly relevant in the technological zone.